Welcome to our channel. Tonight, we drift once again into the soft, quiet world of winter, a season where the pace of life slows, where the ordinary becomes unfamiliar, and where nature reveals secrets it hides at any other time of year. As the cold deepens and the world turns pale and still, even the simplest processes become strangely magical. So breathe gently, allow your shoulders to sink, and let these long, calming winter facts guide you slowly toward rest. Let's begin. Fact 1. The snow that never reaches the ground, Virga. There are moments in winter when snowflakes begin forming high above us, drifting softly from the clouds, only to disappear long before they ever touch the ground. This quiet, half-finished snowfall is called Virga, a phenomenon so gentle that most people never even notice it. The process begins like any ordinary snowfall. Tiny crystals form around microscopic particles, gathering more ice as they fall. But sometimes, the snow passes through a layer of air that is too warm or too dry to sustain it. As the flakes descend, they begin to evaporate, turning back into invisible vapor before reaching the earth. From far away, Virga looks like thin, ghost-like curtains hanging beneath the clouds, delicate streaks that fade into nothing before completing their journey. It resembles a dream interrupted, a snowfall that tried to arrive but dissolved into the quiet. Meteorologists see Virga often, especially in cold deserts or dry winter climates, where the air steals moisture as quickly as nature can create it. Virga is a reminder of winter's subtlety, that not all of its wonders are meant to be felt on the skin. Some exist only in the space between earth and sky, beginning and ending in silence. A snowfall you see, but never touch. A winter whisper meant only for the clouds themselves. Fact 2. Every snowflake begins with a single speck of dust. Even the most beautiful snowflake, with its branching arms and perfect symmetry, begins its journey as something incredibly small. A speck of dust drifting through the atmosphere. This speck might be a grain of soil lifted by the wind, a fragment of pollen from a distant flower, a crystal of sea salt rising from ocean spray, or even a microscopic piece of cosmic dust that spent millions of years traveling through space before reaching Earth. When this speck encounters the right conditions inside a cloud, water vapor attaches to it, freezing into a tiny crystal. From there, the snowflake grows outward as it is carried through layers of different temperatures and humidity levels. Every shift it passes through shapes the design, a little warmer here, a little colder there, forming branches, ridges, and delicate patterns. No two flakes experience the exact same journey, which is why no two flakes are precisely alike. If you catch one on your glove and look closely, you're not just seeing a frozen shape. You're looking at the entire history of its path through the sky, carved in ice. Each flake is nature writing with cold, creating a tiny masterpiece from a humble speck of dust. Winter transforms what is nearly invisible into something astonishing, turning dust into art before letting it drift quietly to the ground. Fact 3. Trees make their own antifreeze. During winter, trees may look silent and lifeless, but inside their trunks, an extraordinary survival process is happening. To withstand freezing temperatures, trees create a natural antifreeze, a thick, sugary sap that circulates slowly through their inner layers. This sap is rich in sugars and special chemicals that lower the freezing point of the water inside their cells. Without this protection, the water within the cells would freeze solid, expand, and burst the delicate cell walls. But trees avoid this by shifting water out of vulnerable cells and filling their tissues with concentrated sugars. The sugars act like insulation, preventing ice from forming inside the living parts of the tree. Some species even change the composition of their cell membranes during winter, making them more flexible and better able to survive cold pressure. From the outside, a forest may look as though it has fallen into deep sleep, but beneath the bark, a quiet and constant effort is underway, a slow, steady resistance against the cold. This natural antifreeze allows trees to survive blizzards, freezing winds, and long, dark nights. While humans bundle in coats and scarves, Trees rely on chemistry, patience, and stillness. Winter reveals their endurance, reminding us that even in the coldest moments, life continues quietly inside every trunk. Fact 4. Snow isn't white at all. Although snow blankets the world in bright white, each individual snowflake is actually made of perfectly clear ice. The whiteness we see is an illusion created by light scattering. Every snowflake has countless tiny surfaces, edges, corners, and crystal faces that reflect and refract sunlight in different directions. As the light bounces around inside the snow, all colors in the spectrum blend together, and our eyes interpret that mix as white. This same scattering effect is why crushed ice looks whiter than a solid cube, and why powdered sugar seems brighter than a sugar crystal. The more surfaces light can bounce off, the more brilliant and white the result appears. Fresh snow looks especially bright because the crystals are sharp and clean, scattering light with maximum efficiency. Over time, sunlight dulls the edges, dirt mixes in, and melting rounds the crystals, causing older snow to appear dimmer or dirty. Snow's brilliance is not about color, it's about how winter manipulates light. Every snowy field is a vast collection of tiny mirrors, each reflecting the cold sunlight in a slightly different direction. So when you see a sparkling landscape after a storm, you're witnessing billions of ice crystals working together to create winter's signature glow. A brightness born entirely from the dance of light across frozen geometry. Fact 5. Frozen lakes create their own music. On cold winter nights, frozen lakes don't stay quiet. Instead, they produce deep booms, soft hums, sharp cracks, and long, echoing tones that ripple across the ice. This haunting soundscape is created as the ice expands and contracts with changing temperatures. When the surface freezes rapidly, the ice stretches and fractures slightly, creating vibrations that travel long distances. To someone standing nearby, it can sound like whales calling, lasers firing, or drums echoing beneath the surface. The sounds are beautiful, eerie, and surprisingly musical, a hidden winter symphony created without any living instrument. Some lakes also produce high-pitched twangs, caused by thin sheets of ice flexing under pressure. The tones can travel across the entire lake, bouncing between the frozen edges and creating an otherworldly acoustic effect. This natural concert happens most often at night when temperatures drop quickly, and the ice responds immediately. The lake becomes a giant instrument, with tension lines acting like strings and cracks working like tuning forks. Many cultures once believed lake sounds were spirits, ancestors, or creatures living beneath the ice. Today, we know they're the voice of winter physics, the frozen world stretching, shifting, and singing its cold song to anyone quiet enough to listen. Fact 6. Your breath turns to mist because winter air is dry. On a cold morning, when you exhale and see a small cloud drifting from your mouth, you're watching a simple but beautiful interaction between warm moisture and cold, dry air. Your breath contains water vapor, warm, invisible, and floating. When this warm vapor meets winter's cold air, the sudden temperature drop forces it to condense into tiny droplets and ice crystals. These droplets scatter light, becoming visible for a moment before dispersing. The colder and drier the air is, the more dramatic the effect becomes. In extremely cold environments, each breath can look like a slow-moving mist, almost like smoke from a fire. In warmer winter air, the cloud is smaller and disappears quickly. Animals also release visible breath in cold air, especially horses, dogs, and deer. The phenomenon is universal, a small reminder that warmth still exists even in a frozen world. This moment, so common yet so calming, shows how winter changes even the smallest parts of daily life. It reveals the warmth inside you by letting you see your breath in the air. For a few seconds, your body paints a tiny cloud into the cold morning, a quiet reminder of how alive you are in the midst of winter. Fact 7. Snow is one of nature's best insulators. It may seem strange, but snow, something cold to the touch, is incredibly good at trapping warmth. The secret lies in its structure. Snow is mostly air held between delicate ice crystals, and air is one of the best natural insulators. When snow piles up on the ground, it forms a protective blanket that slows heat from escaping the earth. Small animals take advantage of this by creating a hidden world called the subnivean zone, a space beneath the snow where temperatures stay surprisingly stable. Mice, voles, and even some insects move through tunnels carved in this insulated layer, safe from wind, predators, and extreme cold. Plants also benefit from snow insulation. Roots, seeds, and bulbs rest under the snow, shielded from freezing air temperatures that could otherwise kill them. Even on a brutally cold day, a few inches of snow can keep the soil beneath it close to freezing, rather than far below. This small difference often determines whether winter life survives or fades. Snow may fall silently, but it protects more than we realize. Winter uses cold to create warmth, a quiet paradox where the very thing that chills the world also shelters it. Fact 8. Arctic foxes change color to survive winter. The Arctic fox has one of nature's most elegant winter strategies. It changes its entire appearance to survive. As winter approaches, its coat thickens and transforms into a brilliant white. This perfect camouflage blends completely into snowy landscapes, making the fox nearly invisible to predators and prey. But the transformation isn't just for hiding. The winter coat is one of the warmest in the animal kingdom, made of dense fur that traps heat and resists icy winds. The fox's paws grow furrier too, acting like natural snowshoes and preventing heat loss through contact with frozen ground. When summer returns and the snow melts, the same fox sheds its white coat, revealing a brown or gray one that matches rocks, soil, and tundra vegetation. This seamless seasonal shift allows the fox to remain concealed year-round. Its color change is triggered by daylight rather than temperature. As winter darkness grows, hormonal signals tell the fox to begin its transformation. Watching an Arctic fox in its winter coat is like seeing a creature carved from snow itself, a living symbol of how deeply winter shapes the natural world. Fact 9. Winter skis reveal their brightest stars. Winter nights often feel clearer, sharper, and more luminous, and there is a scientific reason for it. Cold air holds far less moisture than warm air, which means fewer particles floating around to scatter or distort starlight. With less interference, the night sky becomes darker, deeper, and more transparent. Because of this, winter is the best time to see some of the brightest constellations. Orion stands tall with its iconic belt, Taurus glows beside it, and the Pleiades shimmer like a cluster of tiny diamonds. Sirius, the brightest star in the night sky, shines with exceptional clarity during winter months. The crisp air acts almost like a natural lens, sharpening the outlines of distant light. Even planets take on a steadier glow, twinkling less because the air is calmer. Ancient civilizations often saw winter as the season of stars. With longer nights and clearer skies, they tracked patterns, marked calendars, and navigated by starlight. So when you step outside on a calm winter night and look upward, you're witnessing the universe at its clearest, a reminder that winter doesn't just freeze the earth, it opens the heavens. Fact 10. Ice creates its own beautiful patterns. When water freezes slowly and evenly, it doesn't always form a smooth, flat surface. Instead, it grows into delicate patterns that resemble feathers, leaves, ferns, and branching crystals. These shapes appear because freezing water responds to the smallest imperfections, dust particles, temperature gradients, tiny air currents, or even microscopic scratches on a surface. As the ice grows, it spreads outward in the direction where freezing is easiest, creating long, thin arms or broad, sweeping curves. On windows, these formations are called frost flowers. On ponds, they create lace-like mosaics across the surface. Every pattern is unique because the conditions that shape it are always changing. A slight shift in temperature or a small vibration can alter the entire structure. These natural ice artworks are winter's quiet paintings, created without brushes, colors, or noise, just cold water and time. For those who pause long enough to look, ice reveals that winter is not empty or lifeless. It is an artist sketching silent masterpieces across the coldest surfaces. Fact 11. The silent weight of snow. Snow may look light and delicate, but in winter it gathers a quiet strength that reshapes entire landscapes. When millions of tiny crystals settle together, they compress into layers that can weigh as much as concrete. This weight bends branches, shapes rooftops, and even shifts the ground beneath forests. Yet the process is almost completely silent. Each flake drifts down without a sound, joining others in a patient, steady descent. Over time, this hushed buildup softens sharp edges, rounds corners, and muffles the world into gentle stillness. In places where snowfall is heavy, entire valleys transform into smooth white basins, hiding streams, rocks, and plants under a soft, unbroken blanket. Animals have learned to read this weight. Deer step carefully where snow is deep, and foxes leap high to break through crusted surfaces. Beneath it all, the earth becomes insulated, protected from the harshest cold. Snow's quiet mass may appear fragile, but it acts as a shield, keeping the soil warmer than the air above. In this way, winter's gentlest touch is also one of its strongest forces. Fact 12. Why winter air feels sharper. Winter air feels different not just because it is cold, but because the entire atmosphere changes in subtle ways. As temperatures drop, the molecules in the air slow down and pack more tightly together. This makes the air denser, clearer, and able to carry sound differently. You may notice that distant noises, a dog barking, a train horn, a crunch of footsteps in snow, seem sharper and more distinct in winter. Cold air also holds far less moisture, which creates that crisp, almost clean feeling when you breathe in. Each breath becomes a visible cloud because the moisture inside your warm lungs meets the dry cold and condenses instantly. Winter air also affects smell. With less humidity, scents travel less easily, making the world feel quieter even to your nose. Evergreen forests, however, are an exception. Their sharp pine scent becomes stronger in the cold because their needles release aromatic compounds that don't evaporate quickly. Winter reshapes the atmosphere in ways we rarely notice, turning each breath into a tiny meeting between warmth and cold. Fact 13. The slow freezing of lakes. When winter arrives, lakes begin to freeze not from the bottom up, but from the top down, a rare behavior in nature. Water is most dense at about 4 degrees Celsius. This means that as the surface cools, the coldest water stays at the top instead of sinking. When the surface reaches freezing temperature, a thin layer of ice begins to form, spreading outward slowly like a crystal sheet. Beneath this ice, life continues in a cold but protected world. Fish move more slowly, conserving energy. Plants release oxygen at a reduced pace, and in the deepest parts of the lake, the water remains just warm enough to sustain delicate ecosystems. The ice layer above acts like a shield, blocking wind, trapping heat, and keeping the lake from freezing solid. As winter deepens, the ice thickens, layer by layer, each night adding a quiet ring of frozen time. Sometimes cracks echo across frozen lakes like deep, resonant booms, not signs of danger, but the lake adjusting to temperature shifts. Each sound is a reminder that even in stillness, winter is full of movement. Fact 14. The winter stars that burn brighter. Winter nights reveal some of the clearest and brightest skies of the year. When cold air settles, it holds less moisture and dust, creating a naturally clearer window into space. That's why constellations like Orion, Taurus, and Gemini appear sharper and more brilliant in winter. The stars themselves haven't changed. We simply see them more clearly because the atmosphere becomes more transparent. On especially cold, calm nights, the sky can feel almost impossibly crisp, as if the stars are closer than they really are. Light pollution also tends to be slightly lower during winter due to longer nights and less atmospheric scattering, allowing faint stars and clusters to appear that remain hidden in warmer months. Winter stargazing offers more than brightness. It reveals deep space objects like the Pleiades star cluster and the bright nebula in Orion's sword. These winter jewels have guided ancient travelers, inspired myths, and marked the turning of seasons for thousands of years. In the quiet of a cold night, looking up becomes a journey in itself. Fact 15. The snowflake's hidden architecture. Every snowflake begins with a microscopic speck, a single grain of dust, salt, or pollen suspended high in the atmosphere. Around this tiny nucleus, water vapor freezes into delicate crystal structures, branching outward in patterns shaped by humidity, temperature, and airflow. Though we often hear that no two snowflakes are alike, the deeper truth is even more remarkable. Each snowflake is a frozen record of the exact conditions it experienced on its way down. A sudden gust might alter one side. A brief warm pocket of air might round an edge. A shift in humidity might cause one branch to split into two. The result is a tiny, intricate sculpture created by nature in midair. These crystals then fall softly to the ground, forming the snow we see as a blanket of white. Under a microscope, snowflakes reveal astonishing symmetry, some shaped like stars, others like needles, plates, or columns. Winter creates these fleeting masterpieces every second, only for them to melt away, reminding us of the quiet beauty in things that don't last. Fact 16. How animals sense snow before it falls. Many animals seem to know winter storms are coming long before the first snowflake appears. Birds feed more urgently, squirrels gather extra food, and even household pets may become restless. This ability comes from instincts finely tuned to changes in air pressure, humidity, and electrical charge. As a storm approaches, atmospheric pressure drops, causing subtle shifts in how sound travels and how scents move through the air. Animals pick up on these cues instantly. Some insects retreat into hidden shelters. Deer move to lower ground. Dogs may bark more often or pace near windows. This heightened awareness isn't magic, it is survival. In the wild, missing the signs of an approaching winter storm can be life-threatening. So over thousands of years, animals evolved internal weather sensors far more sensitive than our own. Watching them is like reading nature's early warning system, one that still works quietly in the modern world. Fact 17. The strange warmth beneath deep snow. Though snow feels cold to the touch, a deep layer of snow creates one of winter's most effective insulating blankets. Beneath thick snow, the temperature stays remarkably stable, often around freezing even during brutal cold waves. That's because each snowflake contains tiny pockets of trapped air, and when millions pile together, they form a porous layer that slows the movement of heat. Animals like voles, mice, and small birds use this to their advantage. They burrow beneath the snow into a hidden world called the subnivean zone, where temperatures remain mild compared to the icy air above. Plants benefit too. Delicate roots survive harsh winter cold thanks to this natural insulation. Even the earth itself stays warmer, preventing deep frost from damaging soil structure. Snow may look like a frozen surface, but beneath it lies a quiet sanctuary where life continues, protected by winter's own gentle design. Fact 18. The science of icy footsteps. There's something mesmerizing about the sound of footsteps on fresh snow, a satisfying, crisp crunch that appears only under certain conditions. This sound happens when snow is cold, dry, and composed of crystals that haven't yet begun to melt. When you step on them, the sharp edges of the crystals fracture suddenly, releasing small bursts of energy that create that crunching noise. The colder the air, the louder the crunch. In very cold regions, footsteps can echo like breaking glass. But when temperatures rise slightly, snow becomes wet and sticky, and the sound disappears because the crystals no longer break, they simply compress. This simple, familiar winter sound is actually a tiny orchestra of ice crystals shattering beneath your feet, each step a reminder of the delicate structure holding winter's world together. Fact 19. Frozen fog and the mystery of rime ice. On certain winter mornings, landscapes transform into a white, feathery world coated in delicate structures called rime ice. This happens when supercooled fog, tiny droplets suspended in air below freezing, comes into contact with any surface. Instead of melting or turning into frost, these droplets freeze instantly, growing outward into soft, spiky formations. Trees, fences, leaves, and even spiderwebs become covered in these icy feathers, turning simple objects into winter sculptures. Unlike frost, which forms from moisture already on the surface, rime ice builds layer by layer from the outside, carried by wind and fog. It creates a surreal, dreamlike atmosphere, as if the world has been dipped into powdered glass. Rime ice is common on mountaintops and coastlines, where cold air meets moist winds, but it can appear anywhere conditions are just right. Its presence is fleeting, melting away when sunlight returns, a brief touch of winter's quiet creativity. Fact 20. The winter sun and its strange halos. During winter, when ice crystals float through the air or drift in high clouds, the sun can appear surrounded by glowing circles, pillars, or bright patches of light. These atmospheric effects, called halos, occur when sunlight bends through millions of hexagonal ice crystals suspended in the air. The crystals act like tiny prisms, bending and splitting the sunlight into arcs and rings that hover around the sun. Sometimes you may see a tall beam of light rising from the horizon, a sun pillar, created by crystals reflecting sunlight like tiny mirrors. Other times, mock suns appear on either side of the real sun, forming bright points known as sun dogs. These displays are more common in winter because cold air supports more suspended ice crystals. The result is a sky that feels almost otherworldly, as if nature is quietly painting with light. Fact 21. The quiet breathing of winter forests. In winter, forests appear still, silent, even lifeless. But beneath the surface, trees continue a slow, careful form of breathing. Though leaves have fallen, trunks and roots still exchange gases with the air. The process is slower, quieter, and deeply patient. Trees pull oxygen in through microscopic pores in their bark and release carbon dioxide in return. Snow on the branches absorbs sound, softening every echo, giving the forest its hushed winter voice. Underground, roots shift like slow-moving rivers, drawing water and nutrients that remain liquid thanks to the soil's natural warmth. Even in deep cold, life continues in whispers. Insects hidden beneath bark, fungus threading through frozen wood, tiny mammals scurrying through tunnels under the snow. Winter forests are not dead. They are resting, conserving, and preparing for the first hint of spring sunlight. In their calm stillness, they mirror our own winter quiet, a time to slow down, to breathe gently, and to let the world soften for a while. Fact 22. Why your voice sounds different in the cold. In winter, you might notice your voice sounding clearer, sharper, or even slightly higher. This happens because cold air changes the way sound travels. When air is cold, its molecules pack tightly together, allowing sound waves to move faster and with less distortion. This gives your voice a crispness that is almost impossible in warm, humid air. Meanwhile, your breath warms your throat, creating a small temperature contrast that shapes each word differently. This is also why shouts can travel farther on cold nights. The atmosphere carries them more efficiently. Even musical instruments sound slightly brighter in winter for the same reason. The world's acoustics shift, creating a season where sound behaves in its own delicate, icy way. Winter reshapes not just what we see, but what we hear. Fact 23. The hidden warmth of winter clouds. Winter clouds may appear dark and heavy, but inside them is a surprising amount of warmth. Clouds trap heat rising from the Earth's surface, acting like a soft winter blanket over the sky. On cloudy nights, temperatures often stay higher because the clouds reflect heat back down, preventing it from escaping into space. That's why clear winter nights feel so much colder. Without clouds, warmth escapes freely and temperatures drop rapidly. Inside the clouds themselves, countless water droplets and ice crystals swirl in slow motion, forming layers that drift like gentle currents. These clouds may look solid, but they are incredibly light, often containing less water than a summer cloud. Winter skis hold a fragile balance of temperature and wind, creating a kind of hidden warmth that wraps the world even when everything appears frozen. Fact 24. Why the ground smells different after snow. The scent of the earth changes after snow falls, a clean, muted fragrance that feels almost nostalgic. This shift happens because snow acts as a filter, trapping dust, pollen, and tiny particles that normally float freely in the air. As snow melts slightly on contact with the ground, it releases faint aromas from soil and plants that were previously trapped by cold, dry conditions. At the same time, the air's low humidity in winter carries fewer smells overall, so even subtle scents feel more noticeable. Scientists call this effect petrichor winter, a cousin to the smell of rain. Snow reshapes not just the landscape, but the sensory world around us, creating a moment where the earth itself seems to sigh softly beneath the cold. Fact 25. The hidden life beneath frozen rivers. Even when rivers freeze into solid sheets of ice, life continues below in a remarkably stable world. Beneath the frozen surface, water remains liquid and flows slowly, insulated by the ice above. Fish conserve energy by moving less, but they remain active, navigating through underwater vegetation and feeding on tiny organisms that continue to thrive. Some species even change their metabolism to survive the colder water, slowing their heartbeat and breathing to a gentle rhythm. The ice overhead protects this ecosystem from freezing winds and drastic temperature changes. Though everything above appears still and lifeless, the underwater world is quietly alive, moving at winter's slower pace. Frozen rivers are not frozen worlds, they are peaceful shelters where life waits patiently for spring. Fact 26. The winter winds that shape the land. Winter winds are more than cold gusts. They are powerful sculptors that reshape the earth each year. As icy air sweeps across open landscapes, it carries tiny grains of snow and ice that act like microscopic chisels, carving patterns into rocks, smoothing surfaces and forming drifts that mimic the curves of waves in the ocean. These winds reshape dunes, move topsoil, and create ripples in fields that can last long after winter ends. In mountain regions, strong winter winds gather snow into cornices, great overhanging ledges that cling to ridges like frozen waves. These natural sculptures show how winter's breath can mold the world as effectively as water or sunlight. Winter winds are the secret artists of the cold season, working patiently, invisibly, and continuously. Fact 27. Why we see our breath in winter. Seeing your breath is one of winter's simple, quiet pleasures, a small cloud blooming with each exhale. This happens because the warm, moist air you breathe out meets the cold, dry air around you. Winter air cannot hold much moisture, so the tiny droplets you release condense instantly, forming a visible mist. The colder the temperature, the thicker the cloud becomes. On extremely cold days, your breath can even crystallize into tiny ice particles, creating a shimmering, short-lived fog. Each exhale becomes a tiny meeting between two worlds, the warmth of your body and the quiet stillness of the winter air. Fact 28. The hibernation of frogs beneath the ice. Certain frog species survive winter through a remarkable process. As temperatures drop, they slow their bodies to an almost complete stop, hiding beneath mud, leaves, or shallow water before ice forms above them. Their metabolism decreases so drastically that they barely breathe. Some frogs, like the wood frog, even freeze partially. Their hearts stop, and ice forms within their bodies. Yet they survive because natural antifreeze substances in their blood protect their cells from damage. When spring returns and temperatures rise, these frogs thaw, their hearts restart, and they hop back into life as if waking from a long, cold dream. Winter demands extraordinary adaptation, and these tiny creatures meet it with a quiet, frozen resilience. Fact 29. The crystals that grow on windows. On very cold nights, you may find your windows covered in delicate frost patterns, feather-like structures that look hand-painted by winter itself. These frost formations grow when moisture inside your warm home meets the cold glass. As it cools, the water vapor freezes into tiny ice crystals, spreading outward in patterns shaped by the surface of the glass, air currents, and even microscopic scratches. Each frost feather is unique, forming miniature forests, leaves, ferns, or stars. These icy drawings are fleeting, melting away the moment sunlight warms the glass. Frost on windows is winter's quiet artwork, created overnight and gone by morning. Fact 30. When the air itself freezes. Extreme cold, the very air can begin to crystallize. Tiny ice particles called diamond dust form when moisture freezes directly in the air, creating a sparkling haze that floats gently through the atmosphere. These particles catch the sunlight, producing shimmering effects that look like drifting stars. Diamond dust is not snow. It forms in clear skis, often on the coldest, calmest mornings. The air becomes a glittering curtain of frozen light, so delicate that even a slight breeze can scatter it. For a brief moment, the world feels ethereal, as if winter has turned the air itself into a quiet constellation. Fact 31. The slow drift of pack ice. In the far north and south, winter forms vast floating fields of ice known as pack ice. These sheets are never truly still. They drift slowly with winds and ocean currents, moving like giant, frozen continents across the sea. From above, they appear solid and unmoving, but their edges crack, shift, and merge in a quiet dance shaped by the planet's breath. Beneath them, the ocean remains alive, whales singing in low vibrations, seals weaving through dim blue water, and fish glimmering like cold sparks. Pack ice acts like a shield, reflecting sunlight back into space and helping regulate Earth's temperature. It also serves as a wandering platform for polar bears and birds. Though these ice fields can seem eternal, they are constantly changing, melting in some places, expanding in others. Winter turns the ocean into a slow-moving mosaic of white, carrying entire ecosystems on its frozen surface. Fact 32. The illusion of winter's long shadows. Winter sunlight creates shadows that stretch farther and linger longer than at any other time of year. This happens because the sun travels low across the sky, even at midday. With the sun positioned closer to the horizon, every object casts an elongated silhouette, giving the world a dreamy, almost stretched appearance. Trees appear taller, houses glow with warm, low-angle light, and your own shadow becomes a quiet companion walking beside you. These long shadows soften the landscape, painting winter afternoons with gentle gold and deep blue. Even a simple fence or lamppost can become a dramatic sculpture of lines. This change in light shapes mood and memory, giving winter its unique visual poetry, soft, low, and endlessly patient. Fact 33. The strange calm before heavy snow. Before a major snowfall, the world often becomes unusually quiet. This is not imagination. It is a subtle shift in the atmosphere. As snow-bearing clouds thicken, they absorb and scatter sound waves, muffling the world even before a single flake falls. Humidity rises, the wind settles, and the air becomes dense, creating a moment of soft tension. Animals grow still. Birds perch and wait. Even the sky feels heavy, as if it is holding its breath. This calm is winter's gentle announcement, a natural hush signaling the arrival of snow. When the first flakes finally begin to fall, they continue the silence, each tiny crystal absorbing sound rather than reflecting it. Winter begins not with noise, but with a quieting. Fact 34. The glittering secret of snow glow. Under the right conditions, snow can glow faintly at night, a soft, bluish-white radiance that makes the world feel otherworldly. This happens because snow reflects the moonlight and starlight with remarkable efficiency. Each flake acts like a tiny mirror, bouncing light from crystal to crystal until the entire surface shines. Even distant city lights can create a gentle glow, illuminating fields and rooftops in a way that feels magical and surreal. On snowy nights, darkness never becomes fully dark. The ground glows, the air gleams, and shadows soften into pale outlines. This phenomenon is called snow albedo, and it transforms ordinary nights into a dreamlike landscape where the world appears lit from within. Fact 35. Birds that sing in the coldest months. While many birds migrate to warmer places, a few species stay and sing through winter. Chickadees, robins, wrens, and cardinals are among the brave vocalists of the cold season. Their songs echo more clearly in winter air, giving forests and neighborhoods a surprising liveliness even on freezing mornings. Birds sing to communicate, to claim territory, and to stay connected with their flock. Their small bodies fluff up to trap warm air, creating a tiny insulation coat, and they move quickly to stay warm. Their songs bring a sense of life to an otherwise quiet landscape. In a world of bare branches and snowy fields, winter birds continue nature's choir, proving that even in the coldest season, music never truly stops. Fact 36. The winter ocean's deep blue. The ocean changes color in winter, shifting into deeper, darker shades of blue. This occurs because cold water is clearer and absorbs more red wavelengths of light, leaving only the richer blues behind. Without summer algae blooms clouding the water, the surface becomes a smooth, glass-like mirror reflecting the pale winter sky. Waves crash with a heavier sound, carrying the weight of cold air above them. Winter storms churn the surface, but between these tempests, the sea can appear almost unnaturally still. This deep winter blue is rarely seen in warmer seasons. It is one of the ocean's quiet gifts, shared only with those who pause to look closely. Fact 37. How animals walk on ice. Walking on ice is difficult for humans, but many animals glide across frozen surfaces with surprising ease. Their bodies have evolved subtle adaptations that give them balance and grip. Foxes and wolves spread their toes to increase surface area, acting like natural snowshoes. Deer walk carefully, placing each hoof down with precision. Penguins lean forward to shift their center of gravity, turning a slippery walk into a smooth waddle. Even insects such as snow fleas move easily thanks to tiny structures on their feet that repel water and prevent slipping. Winter ice becomes a shared path, a surface where creatures reveal the quiet intelligence of their steps. Fact 38. The frozen echoes of ice caves. Inside winter ice caves, whether formed from glaciers, frozen waterfalls, or winter riverbanks, sound behaves in unusual ways. Ice reflects sound more cleanly than rock, creating crisp echoes that bounce around the smooth, frozen walls. Even a whisper may return to you, dancing in a circle of icy resonance. The walls glow with soft blue light, filtered through layers of compressed ice, giving the cave an ethereal atmosphere. Each drip, crack, or shifting breath of wind becomes amplified. These caves act like natural cathedrals, carved by water and sealed by winter cold. To step inside one is to enter a world where silence and sound coexist in perfect, icy harmony. Fact 39. The winter shape of trees. Without leaves, trees reveal their hidden architecture, the structure that remains unseen through much of the year. Winter exposes the branching veins of oaks, the delicate lattices of birches, and the tall, straight silhouettes of poplars. Each species shows its unique blueprint, shaped by decades of growth, wind, storms, and sunlight. Birds' nests become visible, perched like small secrets among the branches. Even scars on bark tell stories of past seasons. Winter unveils the raw form of trees, turning forests into galleries of natural sculpture. The beauty of these exposed shapes is subtle but profound, a reminder that growth continues even when life appears bare. Fact 40. The strange light of winter sunsets. Winter sunsets hold colors that rarely appear in warmer seasons. Because the sun sets at a low angle, its light travels farther through the atmosphere, scattering shorter wavelengths and leaving behind rich purples, deep pinks, and fiery oranges. Cold, dry air enhances these colors, sharpening the contrast and adding clarity to the horizon. Snow-covered landscapes reflect the sky's hues, doubling the visual softness. Whether seen through bare branches or across wide fields, winter sunsets carry a quiet, dreamy glow. the day's final whisper before night settles in. Fact 41. Snow reflects light like a mirror. Snow appears bright because each tiny flake acts like a miniature mirror, scattering light in all directions. When millions of flakes settle together, the snow-covered ground reflects sunlight or moonlight back into the atmosphere, creating a soft, radiant glow even at dusk. This reflection is not a single bounce. It's a complex dance of light, refracted and redirected thousands of times before it reaches your eyes. Snow's reflective nature also helps regulate Earth's temperature. By sending sunlight back into space, it keeps frozen regions cooler than they would otherwise be. At night, reflected moonlight or city lights illuminate snowy landscapes, turning ordinary streets and fields into dreamlike, glowing expanses. Snow may look simple, but it is a powerful, natural reflector, quietly shaping the way we perceive winter's light. Fact 42. Frost forms even without snow. Frost is a quiet winter artist, capable of creating intricate patterns without any snowfall at all. It forms when water vapor in the air deposits directly onto cold surfaces, skipping the liquid phase entirely. This process, called deposition, allows crystals to grow into delicate, fern-like shapes on windows, leaves, and fences. Frost is especially common on clear, calm nights when heat escapes from surfaces into the cold sky. Each crystal grows outward from tiny imperfections, branching in unpredictable ways, so no two frost patterns are identical. Morning light turns them into sparkling, frozen lace, briefly transforming ordinary objects into works of art. Frost reminds us that winter's beauty does not rely solely on snow. It exists in invisible moisture and quiet physical processes, visible only to those patient enough to notice. Fact 43. Winter storms move like slow giants. A winter storm does not rush. It drifts across the land with patient, almost deliberate motion, carrying wind, snow, and cold in an enormous, invisible wave. Unlike summer thunderstorms that erupt suddenly, winter storms form gradually, assembling moisture and air pressure changes over hours or even days. The snowfall begins gently, each flake falling silently, accumulating layer by layer until the world transforms. High winds may follow, shifting drifts and shaping snow into waves that mirror the ocean. Though these storms can be fierce, their approach is measured, giving wildlife and humans alike a subtle warning. Observing the quiet buildup of a winter storm is like watching a slow-moving giant sweep the land, reshaping everything in its path with patience and inevitability. Fact 44. Snow crystals grow differently in humid air. Not all snow is the same. The humidity in the atmosphere dramatically changes how snowflakes form. In moist, humid air, crystals grow broader, forming flat plates and dendritic star-shaped flakes. In drier air, they grow into thin needles or columns. Even a small variation in moisture can create entirely different shapes, so a single snowfall can contain hundreds of unique flake types. Temperature also plays a role, influencing symmetry and branching patterns. This delicate interplay between cold and humidity creates the diversity we admire in snow-covered landscapes. Each flake is a tiny record of the air through which it fell, capturing a frozen history of winter's invisible currents. Fact 45. Ice can transmit sound better than air. Frozen surfaces amplify sound in unexpected ways. Ice is denser than air and carries vibrations efficiently, allowing sounds to travel farther and clearer across frozen lakes, rivers, and roads. A crack in the ice can echo like a drum, traveling hundreds of meters. Small animals, such as foxes or rabbits, rely on this phenomenon to detect movement over frozen surfaces. Humans also notice it. Footsteps on a frozen lake seem louder, and distant voices carry farther. Winter turns ice into a natural amplifier, creating an acoustic environment unique to cold seasons. The frozen world hums in subtle ways, even when it appears still. Fact 46. Animals use snow as a hidden shelter. Winter snow is more than a blanket on the ground. It is a protective shelter for countless animals. Beneath its surface, A hidden world called the subnivean zone exists, where temperatures remain near freezing rather than dropping far below. Small mammals, insects, and amphibians create tunnels and chambers beneath the snow, safe from predators and harsh winds. Even plants benefit, as roots stay insulated from frost that could otherwise damage delicate tissues. Snow's insulating properties create a quiet refuge, allowing life to persist in a season that seems inhospitable. Winter's cold, when combined with its blanket of snow, becomes an ally rather than an enemy. Fact 47. Ice bubbles trap tiny air worlds. In some frozen lakes and ponds, bubbles of methane or carbon dioxide become trapped beneath the ice. These bubbles form slowly as organic matter decomposes underwater, releasing gases that rise toward the surface. When temperatures drop, a thin sheet of ice forms, freezing the bubbles in place. The result is a frozen mosaic of tiny spheres, stacked like pearls under a glassy surface. These trapped bubbles can produce spectacular visual patterns, particularly when sunlight filters through. Beyond beauty, they tell a story of the lake's chemical life during winter, a frozen record of processes that continue quietly beneath the ice. Fact 48. Snow alters animal tracks. Fresh snow creates a temporary canvas, capturing the movements of animals with stunning clarity. Every footprint, paw print, or claw mark is preserved in relief, recording behaviors, paths, and interactions. Predators and prey leave trails, birds leave tiny imprints, and small mammals carve elaborate tunnel entrances in snow-covered ground. These impressions are fleeting, often distorted by drifting flakes, wind, or melting. But for a brief moment, they reveal a hidden narrative of winter wildlife. Snow acts as a quiet recorder, silently documenting the subtle activities of the natural world in a way no human device can. Fact 49. Winter lakes can glow under ice. Sometimes, when sunlight hits frozen lakes at a certain angle, the ice itself seems to glow faintly. This phenomenon occurs because ice is semi-transparent and contains tiny air pockets and microcracks. Light penetrates the ice, scattering and refracting through these imperfections, creating a soft internal illumination. The effect is strongest in clear, cold ice with minimal snow cover. For a moment, frozen lakes can appear as if lit from within, a subtle, magical transformation that turns ordinary surfaces into ethereal landscapes. Winter creates beauty not only through snow or frost, but through ice's hidden optical artistry. Fact 50. The cold preserves winter's fragile landscapes. Winter's cold is a gentle preserver. Snow, ice, and frost hold landscapes in a delicate balance, protecting seeds, mosses, and soil from rapid temperature swings. Without this frozen blanket, extreme cold or warm thaws could damage vegetation or disrupt ecosystems. Snow also slows erosion, absorbs wind energy, and maintains the natural layering of organic material on forest floors. In this way, winter acts as a patient caretaker, preserving fragile environments while they rest. The season's quiet, cold presence allows life to survive and thrive when warmth returns. Nature relies on winter's subtle hand to keep the world ready for spring. Fact 51. The winter sky holds more stars. In winter, the night sky appears clearer and filled with more visible stars than in summer. This is because cold air holds less moisture, and humidity is lower, reducing haze and atmospheric distortion. The crisp, dry air allows faint stars and distant galaxies to shine through with remarkable clarity. Constellations such as Orion, Taurus, and Gemini dominate the winter sky, their bright stars forming easily recognizable patterns. Even planets become easier to spot against the deep indigo backdrop. Winter nights invite quiet observation, giving us a rare chance to connect with the cosmos. Each star, flickering faintly, tells a story of distance and time, offering a tranquil reflection of the universe's vastness. Gazing upward on a winter night, the world seems both infinite and intimate, as if the sky itself whispers in frozen silence. Fact 52. The winter solstice's subtle shift. The winter solstice marks the shortest day of the year, a time when sunlight lingers least on Earth's surface. Yet its effect is subtle, almost poetic. Shadows stretch longer and the angle of sunlight casts a softer, more horizontal glow across the land. Though the sun seems distant, this slight shift signals a turning point. From the solstice onward, daylight slowly lengthens, reminding us that even in winter, change is constant. Animals and plants, attuned to these shifts, begin responding in small ways. Birds adjust feeding patterns, trees slow sap movement, and humans feel the gradual increase of light in daily life. The solstice is both an end and a beginning, a quiet turning wheel in winter's rhythm. Fact 53. Ice lenses create optical magic. Winter ice can create unusual visual effects called ice lenses. When layers of ice and air pockets form in ponds or on frozen rivers, they bend and focus sunlight, creating miniature rainbows, sparkling points of light, or magnified images of the surroundings. These effects are subtle, often overlooked, but they turn ordinary frozen surfaces into a delicate optical gallery. Even tiny imperfections in the ice contribute, scattering light into patterns visible only under precise conditions. Winter teaches us to slow down and notice these ephemeral displays, showing that beauty can exist in the smallest, quietest places. Fact 54. Snow can preserve tracks for weeks. Unlike soil or sand, snow preserves footprints with remarkable fidelity under the right conditions. If temperatures remain low and wind minimal, animal tracks can last for days or even weeks. Predators, prey, and wandering humans leave patterns in the snow, creating a temporary archive of movement. Subtle changes, like drifting snow or light melting, gradually alter tracks, but even distorted prints reveal the path life has taken. For trackers and nature observers, winter snow becomes a silent diary, documenting hidden behaviors and journeys otherwise invisible. Each footprint is a brief story, frozen in time by the quiet touch of winter. Fact 55. Snow can change its sound with temperature. Walking on snow offers an auditory experience unique to winter. Cold, dry snow produces a sharp, crisp crunch as its crystalline edges fracture under weight. Slightly warmer snow becomes soft and sticky, losing its distinctive sound. Ice-laden snow can create a hollow echo underfoot, almost musical in its resonance. The temperature, crystal structure, and depth all influence the sounds we hear. Each step becomes an interactive experience with the season itself, reminding us that winter is not only seen and felt, but also heard in delicate, subtle ways. Fact 56. Winter aurora lights the sky. In polar regions, winter brings the mesmerizing aurora borealis or aurora australis. These lights occur when charged particles from the sun collide with Earth's magnetic field, exciting atoms in the atmosphere. The result is ribbons of green, red, and violet light dancing across the night sky. Winter's long nights and cold, clear air make auroras particularly vivid and frequent. The effect is hypnotic, slow, and dreamlike, perfectly suited to a quiet, reflective season. Observing them is like watching Earth's own heartbeat expressed in luminous waves, a gentle reminder that even in the stillness of winter, dynamic forces of nature are at play. Fact 57. Ice crystals can form in the air. Not all ice comes from falling snow. In extremely cold conditions, ice crystals can form directly in the air, creating phenomena like diamond dust. Tiny, sparkling crystals float gently, reflecting sunlight or moonlight to create a glittering haze. These crystals are often invisible unless illuminated at the right angle, giving the world a subtle, ephemeral sparkle. Diamond dust is a delicate sign of winter's extreme cold and clarity, a fleeting display of frozen artistry suspended in the air. Fact 58. Frozen waterfalls preserve motion. When waterfalls freeze in winter, they seem motionless, yet they tell a story of time frozen in place. Water continues to flow beneath a thin crust of ice or inside icicles, maintaining its path slowly and silently. Layers of ice form around moving water, capturing its shape mid-motion. Each frozen waterfall is a sculpture shaped by gravity, wind, temperature, and time. Colors shift with light, icy blues, translucent whites, and shadows of surrounding rocks, creating a silent drama. Frozen waterfalls are winter's way of holding fleeting movement, allowing us to witness the passage of liquid turned solid in serene stillness. Fact 59. Snow's insulating effect protects soil. Deep snow protects the Earth's surface from extreme cold. Acting like a natural blanket, snow slows heat loss from soil, keeping roots, seeds, and tiny creatures insulated. Even if the air above is frigid, temperatures beneath thick snow remain closer to freezing, preventing frost from damaging delicate ecosystems. This insulation preserves life through the harshest months, ensuring that spring emerges with growth already in place. Winter snow is not just beautiful, it is essential, silently guarding the foundation of life beneath its white cover. Fact 60. Ice can amplify tiny sounds. Walking across a frozen lake, you may notice small cracks or shifting ice echoing across vast distances. Ice acts as a natural amplifier, transmitting even the faintest vibrations. Small animals use this effect to sense movement or danger, and humans can hear distant footsteps or ice shifts that would normally go unnoticed. Winter creates a unique acoustic landscape where frozen surfaces become sensitive instruments, echoing the quiet forces of life and movement. Fact 61. The winter moon appears larger. During winter, the moon often seems unusually large and bright. This is not magic, but a subtle combination of atmospheric clarity and angle. Cold, dry air contains fewer particles to scatter light, allowing the moon to shine with crisp brilliance. Additionally, the winter sky is typically clearer, providing a sharp contrast that makes the moon appear closer. Sometimes, when it rises near the horizon, an optical illusion known as the moon illusion amplifies its size, making it feel enormous and glowing. Observing the winter moon creates a quiet, reflective moment, where the world is bathed in gentle lunar light, and the night feels softer, almost tangible under its glow. Fact 62. Icicles grow slowly like nature's candles. Icicles are formed when melting snow or ice drips from a surface and freezes again in cold air. Each icicle grows gradually, layer by layer, capturing tiny air bubbles and mineral traces from the water. Their shape, smooth or jagged, is influenced by wind, temperature, and sunlight. Over days, icicles lengthen, sometimes forming delicate chains or frozen curtains along rooftops and cliffs. They act as a record of subtle weather patterns, each layer documenting temperature shifts and daily changes in sun exposure. Icicles are winter's quiet sculptures, fragile, temporary, and created in absolute stillness. Fact 63. Winter fog creates ghostly landscapes. Cold air over relatively warmer ground often produces fog in winter. This fog is heavier than in other seasons, clinging to fields, forests, and streets with a ghostly presence. It softens shapes, dulls colors, and muffles sound, turning familiar landscapes into mysterious, almost dreamlike scenes. Trees appear as silhouettes, fences vanish into white haze, and footsteps seem to echo in a soft void. Winter fog transforms ordinary environments, inviting slower movements, deeper breaths, and a heightened awareness of silence. It is a quiet reminder that even air can sculpt mood and perception. Fact 64. Snow can act as a natural sound barrier. Freshly fallen snow absorbs sound, making the world seem unusually silent. Each flake traps air and muffles vibrations, reducing echoes from distant traffic, voices, or running water. In forests or open fields, this effect is even more pronounced, turning winter landscapes into hushed sanctuaries. Animals benefit too, moving stealthily beneath a soft snow layer. The muffled world feels slower, calmer, and more introspective. Winter's ability to quiet sound adds a layer of serenity, allowing us to notice subtle movements and gentle rhythms that escape us in other seasons. Fact 65. Frozen rivers preserve history. Rivers that freeze in winter act as living archives. Beneath the ice, sediment settles undisturbed, and underwater ecosystems continue slowly, shielded from turbulent surface conditions. Historically, frozen rivers also became pathways for humans, animals, and trade, creating routes that would vanish when ice melted. Winter transforms liquid motion into a temporary stillness, preserving both natural and human history. Each frozen river is a fleeting repository of time, holding stories beneath its glistening surface until spring returns. Fact 66. Snow alters the perception of time. Walking through snow can make minutes feel like hours. The quiet muffling of sound, the uniformity of white landscapes, and the slowed pace of life in winter all contribute to a subjective stretching of time. Every step feels measured, deliberate, and conscious. Snow's consistency and stillness encourage reflection and patience. Winter asks us to slow down, to notice subtle changes in light, sound, and texture. This temporal distortion is nature's gentle reminder that the season exists at a slower rhythm, a time for quiet observation and mindful presence. Fact 67. Frost flowers bloom on ice. Frost flowers are delicate ice formations that appear on thin sea ice or frozen lakes under calm, cold conditions. Moisture from the ice surface rises and freezes upon contact with the cold air, forming feathery, curling structures. These fragile formations can resemble miniature blooms, spreading across surfaces like tiny frozen gardens. Frost flowers reflect sunlight, sparkle, and even trap tiny air bubbles, creating a surreal visual effect. They exist only briefly, melted by sunlight or wind, yet their transient beauty embodies winter's ephemeral artistry. Frost flowers are a secret spectacle, often unnoticed but endlessly mesmerizing. Fact 68. Winter stars sparkle more clearly. The twinkle of stars is often sharper in winter. This is because cold, dry air reduces turbulence and moisture, allowing starlight to travel with less distortion. Constellations appear more vivid, and faint stars or deep space objects that are invisible in summer emerge clearly. The winter sky invites quiet contemplation, offering a pristine view of distant galaxies. Observing stars in this season feels intimate, as if the universe itself is leaning closer to share its stories in cold, crisp clarity. Winter nights create a celestial theater, perfectly still, patiently waiting for quiet viewers. Fact 69. Snow reflects moonlight like a mirror. A snow-covered landscape transforms night into soft illumination. The reflective properties of snow amplify moonlight, creating a glowing, almost magical ambience. Shadows soften, and shapes gain subtle definition as the reflected light spreads evenly across fields and rooftops. Even in the darkest hours, snow can make the environment perceptibly brighter, enhancing visibility and mood. This gentle illumination is calming, emphasizing the quiet and stillness inherent in winter nights. Snow is both observer and performer, subtly shaping light to create serene nocturnal scenes. Fact 70. Winter wildlife uses frozen surfaces wisely. Frozen lakes, rivers, and ponds become passageways for animals in winter. Deer, foxes, and even small rodents use ice to travel safely over otherwise obstructed areas. Birds may rest or feed atop frozen surfaces, while some mammals exploit the ice for hunting. The season's frozen landscapes provide both risk and opportunity, shaping behaviors in subtle ways. Observing wildlife on ice reveals a winter world that is active, adaptive, and quietly alive, challenging the perception that the cold season is purely dormant or still. Fact 71. Snow can preserve leaves and plants. A blanket of snow does more than decorate the landscape. It preserves fragile life beneath it. Leaves, seeds, and tiny plants are shielded from harsh winds and sudden temperature drops. Snow insulates the ground, keeping it near freezing rather than allowing it to fluctuate wildly. This quiet protection ensures that when spring arrives, roots and seeds are ready to grow, often already insulated in their winter cocoons. Walking through a snow-covered forest, One may see remnants of fallen leaves preserved under soft layers of white, silent witnesses to the season's gentle care. Fact 72. Ice can bend light and create mirages. Winter ice can act like a prism, bending sunlight in strange ways. Thin ice on ponds or frozen roads often produces shimmering reflections or miniature mirages. This occurs because light travels at different speeds through ice, water, and air, creating subtle distortions. Travelers in snowy regions sometimes notice roads or surfaces appearing slightly displaced, or distant objects appearing doubled. These optical illusions are temporary, dependent on temperature and ice thickness. Winter teaches patience and observation, revealing that even frozen surfaces can play tricks on the eyes and turn mundane landscapes into visual mysteries. Fact 73. Snow influences animal behavior. Snow dramatically affects the behavior of animals. Predators must adapt to hunting in a quieter, more reflective environment, while prey rely on camouflage and silence. Some animals grow thicker fur or feathers, while others change color to blend with the snow. Migration patterns and feeding routines are also affected. Small mammals dig tunnels beneath the snow, birds change their foraging strategies, and predators follow tracks left in fresh snow. Winter is a time of adaptation, where survival depends on subtle awareness, patience, and the quiet observation of shifting patterns in the frozen world. Fact 74. Hoarfrost creates winter's lace. Hoarfrost forms when moisture in the air freezes directly onto surfaces, creating crystalline structures that resemble lace. It often appears on trees, fences, and grass during calm, cold nights. Each tiny needle or feather is unique, shaped by temperature, humidity, and wind conditions. When sunlight hits hoarfrost, it sparkles like thousands of miniature diamonds, transforming ordinary objects into intricate, shimmering sculptures. Unlike snow, hoarfrost grows in place, emphasizing winter's delicate artistry. These temporary formations disappear with warmth, leaving only memories of their quiet, frozen elegance. Fact 75. Frozen lakes store oxygen for life. Beneath frozen lakes, aquatic life persists in a fragile balance. The ice above prevents oxygen from entering, but enough remains trapped under the surface to sustain fish, amphibians, and microorganisms. The thickness of the ice also insulates the water, maintaining a temperature that allows life to continue slowly. Some fish reduce metabolism, conserving energy through long, quiet winter months. The frozen surface preserves life below, silently supporting ecosystems until spring releases the ice and returns the world to fluid movement. Winter is a patient caretaker, allowing life to endure beneath a frozen veil. Fact 76. Snowflakes form unique patterns every time. No two snowflakes are exactly alike. Each flake grows as it falls through varying temperatures and humidity, creating complex, unique patterns of ice crystals. Some appear as delicate stars, others as thin columns or plates, and some as intricate dendritic formations. The slightest environmental change can alter growth patterns, resulting in endless variation. Observing a single snowflake reveals winter's microscopic artistry, a fleeting, perfect structure that vanishes when touched. Snowflakes remind us that even in cold, quiet environments, infinite diversity and beauty exist in every tiny detail. Fact 77. Winter sunlight is softer yet longer in duration. Although winter days are shorter, the light itself is gentle and diffuse. The sun sits lower in the sky, casting long shadows and creating soft angles across snowy landscapes. Light reflects off snow, further diffusing harshness and bathing the world in a calm, pale glow. Even brief moments of sunlight seem richer, emphasizing textures in trees, ice, and snowdrifts. Winter light slows perception, turning ordinary scenes into dreamlike tableaus. This softer illumination highlights details otherwise unnoticed, creating opportunities for reflection and quiet observation in the season's stillness. Fact 78. Snow drifts are shaped by invisible hands. Snow drifts are not random. They are sculpted by wind and subtle topography. Gentle gusts can create rolling mounds over fields, roads, or rooftops, forming shapes reminiscent of waves frozen in time. Cornices and ridges form along hills and mountains, dangerous yet beautiful structures shaped by patient, persistent forces. Even slight obstacles alter how snow accumulates, turning ordinary landscapes into sculpted, soft forms. Each drift reflects the silent work of winter wind, molding snow into ever-changing patterns that reveal nature's careful attention to detail. Fact 79. Ice forms patterns on windows. On the coldest nights, moisture inside homes can condense and freeze on glass, forming delicate frost patterns. These crystals grow outward, creating shapes reminiscent of ferns, feathers, or abstract lace. The patterns are influenced by tiny imperfections on the glass surface, drafts, and humidity levels. No two windows ever produce identical designs. This phenomenon transforms ordinary household windows into ephemeral works of art, a quiet spectacle of winter's creativity. Each frost pattern is temporary, disappearing as soon as warmth returns, leaving only the memory of its fragile beauty. Fact 80. Animals use snow for camouflage. Winter snow provides natural camouflage for many species. Snowshoe hares turn white, foxes adjust coat tones, and birds like ptarmigans blend seamlessly into snowy landscapes. This adaptation allows them to evade predators or stalk prey efficiently. Snow alters the visual world, forcing animals to adjust behavior, movement, and appearance. Each winter, survival depends on subtle changes in camouflage, demonstrating the quiet, patient strategies of life beneath winter's soft, white blanket. Fact 81. Snowflakes reflect light differently at night. Snowflakes scattered on the ground at night can appear to shimmer softly under moonlight or streetlights. Each flake, with its unique crystal shape, refracts and reflects light differently, creating a delicate sparkle across snowy surfaces. The effect is heightened because the air is often still in winter, allowing flakes to settle gently without disturbance. Even a thin layer of snow transforms ordinary streets, fields, or forests into glittering expanses. Observing snow at night feels like stepping into a quiet world of gentle illumination, where the simplest crystals perform their subtle winter magic. Fact 82. Winter winds can sculpt trees. Persistent winter winds shape trees in subtle yet striking ways. Branches bend, twist, or grow asymmetrically under constant pressure from snow-laden gusts. In exposed areas, trees develop a wind-sculpted form, leaning away from prevailing winds or creating sweeping silhouettes. This natural shaping takes decades, recording environmental history in every curve and twist. In forests, wind-sculpted trees also influence wildlife, providing shelter or guiding animal pathways. Winter is not just a season of stillness. It quietly molds the living architecture of the land, shaping both form and function in patience and silence. Fact 83. Ice can trap tiny insects. Occasionally, tiny insects become trapped in thin ice on ponds, puddles, or frozen vegetation. Some survive the winter in frozen dormancy, while others remain preserved as small, translucent fossils within the ice. These microcosms offer a glimpse into nature's quiet persistence and fragility, frozen in time until thaw releases them, or until they remain suspended as winter's delicate artifacts. Observing these tiny trapped creatures evokes both awe and contemplation, reminding us that life and stillness coexist intimately during the season of cold. Fact 84. Snow alters color perception. A snowy landscape changes the way we perceive color. White snow reflects ambient light, muting darker tones while amplifying lighter shades. Trees, rocks, and buildings appear softened, and shadows gain a bluish tint under cold conditions. Even the sky seems deeper and clearer against a snow-covered backdrop. Snow's reflective and diffusive properties create a serene visual balance, highlighting shapes and textures that might otherwise go unnoticed. Winter transforms familiar landscapes into visually quiet, harmonious scenes, where color and light gently guide the eye. Fact 85. Ice can record time. Glacial ice captures a chronological record of the environment. Each layer of ice contains microscopic bubbles of air, particles, and other substances trapped over centuries. Scientists can read these layers like pages of a book, revealing past climates, atmospheric composition, and even volcanic events. On a smaller scale, everyday frozen ponds or lakes preserve seasonal events, from fallen leaves to tiny debris, recording moments in winter's slow, deliberate archive. Ice is both ephemeral and timeless, holding memories in its frozen embrace until spring or scientific inquiry unveils them. Fact 86. Snow creates a reflective quiet. Snow not only muffles sound but also encourages reflection, both literal and metaphorical. Walking through freshly fallen snow, each step absorbs noise, creating a hushed atmosphere. This quiet encourages mindfulness, allowing subtle details, falling flakes, wind whispers, or animal tracks to stand out. Snow transforms ordinary experiences into contemplative journeys, slowing perception and sharpening awareness. Winter's blanket of white becomes a canvas for stillness, reflection, and gentle observation. Fact 87. Winter stars can appear larger near horizon. When winter constellations rise near the horizon, the stars often appear unusually large or bright. This moon and star illusion occurs due to atmospheric layering, refraction, and the observer's perception. Cold, clear air enhances this effect, allowing stars to twinkle vividly. Observers experience a sense of proximity to distant celestial objects, reinforcing the quiet intimacy of winter nights. The stars appear both brilliant and gentle, illuminating the season's serene nocturnal world. Fact 88. Ice cracks produce musical sounds. Thick ice on lakes or rivers occasionally cracks due to temperature changes or pressure shifts. These cracks can produce musical tones, deep booms, sharp snaps, or delicate hums, depending on the ice's thickness, air bubbles, and structure. The sounds travel far across frozen surfaces, echoing softly in the surrounding silence. To listen is to hear winter's hidden symphony, subtle yet alive, turning frozen landscapes into resonant, musical spaces that reveal motion beneath apparent stillness. Fact 89. Snow changes soil chemistry. Snow influences the chemistry of soil beneath it. As snow slowly melts, it releases water and dissolved nutrients gradually, allowing the ground to absorb them efficiently. This slow release prevents erosion and protects delicate microorganisms and plant roots from sudden temperature fluctuations. Snow also contributes small amounts of nitrogen and other elements essential for plant growth. In winter, the season quietly replenishes and maintains the health of ecosystems, preparing the soil for the burst of life that spring will bring. Fact 90. Winter fog can reflect light beautifully. Winter fog, dense and still, often reflects artificial or natural light in mesmerizing ways. Streetlights, moonlight, or distant lamps create halos, soft glows, and ethereal visual effects within the fog. This reflection turns ordinary streets or landscapes into dreamlike scenes, where shapes blur and edges dissolve. Fog absorbs sound while reflecting light, combining visual and auditory softness into a single sensory experience. Winter fog is a gentle painter, transforming the mundane into a scene of quiet wonder and contemplation. Fact 91. Snow can create optical illusions. On bright winter days, sunlight reflecting off snow can create illusions like halos, sun dogs, or shimmering mirages. Ice crystals in the air bend and scatter light, producing glowing rings or bright spots around the sun. These optical phenomena are subtle and fleeting, requiring patience to notice. They transform ordinary skis into displays of delicate light artistry. Snow and ice act as tiny prisms, amplifying winter's quiet magic. Observers who pause and watch are rewarded with a sense of wonder, as though the sky itself is whispering secrets of the season. Fact 92. Animals conserve energy during winter. Many animals adjust their behavior to survive the cold. Hibernation, torpor, and reduced activity are common strategies. Bears sleep for months, Bats cling to dark caves and small rodents slow metabolism under snow. Even active animals like foxes or deer carefully conserve energy by limiting movement during storms and seeking sheltered spots. Winter is a season of quiet patience, where life slows without stopping entirely. The stillness outside mirrors the calm perseverance of creatures living in frozen landscapes, each moment a balance between survival and subtle motion. Fact 93. Winter stars shine through clearer air. Winter nights provide some of the clearest views of stars and planets. Cold air holds less moisture and fewer dust particles, allowing starlight to reach the observer with minimal distortion. Constellations appear crisp, and distant galaxies, normally invisible, can emerge faintly to patient eyes. Observing the sky in winter evokes both tranquility and awe, a sense of connection to vast, timeless space. Stars become companions in the hush of the season, their steady light contrasting with the soft, mutable glow of snow-covered landscapes below. Fact 94. Snow reflects heat back to the atmosphere. Snow-covered surfaces act as reflective mirrors, bouncing sunlight and infrared radiation back into the sky. This reflective property, called albedo, helps regulate Earth's climate, keeping polar and temperate regions cooler during winter. The effect is subtle but significant, influencing temperatures and weather patterns across continents. Snow's reflective power also makes winter landscapes appear brighter than they truly are, extending daylight's visual effect into late evenings and early mornings. In its quiet way, snow shapes both the physical and perceptual world, amplifying the season's still, luminous quality. Fact 95. Icicles capture tiny weather histories. Icicles grow slowly, layer by layer, reflecting daily changes in temperature, sunlight, and water flow. Each layer records a small piece of weather history, invisible to most observers but captured in frozen form. Sunlight can refract through clear icicles, revealing trapped air bubbles or subtle color variations. Over time, these fragile formations lengthen, hang delicately, and eventually melt, returning their stored story to liquid water. Icicles are nature's quiet archivists, creating temporary monuments to winter's gentle rhythms. Fact 96. Frozen branches create crystal networks. After a heavy frost, trees often appear covered in intricate networks of ice crystals. Each branch acts as a scaffold for delicate, needle-like formations that capture sunlight and glow faintly. The shapes are unique, influenced by humidity, wind, and temperature. Walking through a frost-covered forest feels like entering a cathedral made of glass, where every branch sparkles silently. These frozen patterns last only until sunlight or warmth melts them, a fleeting reminder of winter's transient beauty and intricate design. Fact 97. Snow alters sound propagation. Fresh snow dramatically changes how sound travels. By absorbing high-frequency vibrations, snow creates muffled, softened acoustics across landscapes. Voices, footsteps, and distant noises lose harshness, replaced by a gentle hush. Animals take advantage of this, moving stealthily under a white blanket, while humans experience a calm, almost meditative auditory environment. Snow transforms the ordinary into a serene world, encouraging patience and quiet reflection. The muffled environment also highlights subtle sounds, like cracking ice or falling snowflakes, revealing winter's hidden symphony. Fact 98. Winter ice can create cavernous echoes. Thick ice on rivers, lakes, or caves can amplify sound, producing eerie echoes. A small crack or falling snow can resonate for meters, filling the frozen space with deep, haunting tones. These natural acoustic chambers add an auditory layer to winter landscapes, transforming otherwise silent environments into resonant, mystical spaces. Listening closely, one can hear subtle shifts, revealing the presence of hidden water flows or animal movement beneath frozen surfaces. Winter's icy structures become both visual and auditory experiences, blending stillness with sound in quiet harmony. Fact 99. Snow protects seeds and roots. Snow acts as a thermal blanket for the earth, insulating seeds, roots, and small plants. By slowing heat loss, snow prevents soil from freezing deeply, preserving the foundation for spring growth. Tiny creatures underground are also shielded from extreme cold, allowing ecosystems to survive harsh conditions. Snow's insulating quality is a silent, essential guardian of life, maintaining the delicate balance between dormancy and renewal. In this way, winter preserves the promise of life quietly beneath its white surface. Fact 100. The winter landscape invites stillness. Finally, winter itself is a teacher of calm and patience. Snow muffles sound, softens light, and slows movement. Trees, ice, and frozen rivers transform familiar surroundings into gentle, meditative spaces. Animals adapt, air clarity improves, and night skis reveal distant stars in sharp clarity. Winter reminds us that stillness is not emptiness. It is quiet activity, subtle transformation, and patient preservation. Every snowflake, icicle, and frost pattern contributes to a world that is alive, yet hushed. Embracing winter's quiet allows us to breathe, observe, and connect with nature's deeper rhythms, turning each cold, serene day into a gentle lesson in mindfulness and wonder.